har naam hai. That naam that is resounding inside of us, that sound vibration from which this whole creation came into being. Kita pasao eko kavao. Pichle samay de vich people used to use the word shabad for a sound. That shabad hoya, that there was a loud sound. The word shabad within Gurbani many times is referring to that sound vibration from where this creation came into being. And that sound vibration, that naam, is inside every single one of us, inside this physical body, at that high place, that ucha than. And the mind's purpose within this life is to find that place, is to allow the mind to travel there, so that the mind can be strong, the mind can experience peace, that the mind is not fragmented in thought after thought after thought, continually in fear, in hatred, in worry, in trying to plan, control outcomes. If we ask ourselves, where is our mind all day long, from morning till night? Is the mind fragmented, thinking about past, thinking about future, judging the present moment, judging others, comparison, striving, trying to get ahead? Constantly the mind is in vichar. And Gurbani says that the definition of a mind that is insane, that has gone insane, is the mind that is disconnected from Naam. Bin Naam Jag Kamala Fil. And the whole world, we may look on the outside as if we're doing well, that we are normal, but nobody knows what's happening inside somebody else's mind. Many of us will know that inside our own selves there is unrest. And the only reason that there's unrest is not because there's something wrong with you, not because there's something wrong with your circumstance. We all have many challenging things that we are all going through. And yes, it's very difficult to go through all of that. But Gurbani says that even those whose circumstances are not difficult, or even in our own lives, those points where we haven't got any specific challenges, still the mind is dukhi. So what is the answer? What is Gurbani pointing us toward again and again? Gurbani is saying that if you want to experience peace in this world, if you want to experience Shanti, you need to give your mind its nourishment, its kurak. Not once, not just in the Gurdwara Sahib, not just when you open up the Gurdwara Sahib and read the Gurbani, but we can give the mind its nourishment with every single breath. We can experience that peace of our home with every single breath. And that is the invitation that Guruji is giving us. Guruji is saying, oh mind, oh my mind child, because we are the children of the divine. Oh my child, why are you so much in suffering? Sab ke shikar mein bahar nahi. Bahar tole so param pulahi. Why are you looking outside of yourself for peace, for success, for recognition, for a solution? I have placed everything inside of you that you will ever need. Sab kish karma. And the purpose of a mind that comes to play within this worldly realm, the invitation for that mind is to find that kurak, to access that peace. So Gurmukh Pyare, we're going to spend some time going into that place, taking our mind to that high space, that jaga within our city, that subtle home, so that we experience this for ourselves. Because by now we have all the gyan. We have been reading Gurbani for many, many years. We have understood that everything is inside, everything is within the Naam. So now is the opportunity to find it, to become a khoji, to become a seeker of this physical body. Gurmukh hove so kaya khoje, to find what is in this kaya, in this city, so that we can establish that connection, that bond, that connection of love with that realm inside of us. So Gurmukh Pyare, we're going to close our eyes, sit comfortably, because we can only really look inward if we're not looking outward. If the attention is being pulled outward of everything that we can see, things that we can hear, things that we can sense in our surroundings, the mind will not be able to do Koj inside. It will be too fragmented. It will be too burdened, too bloated. Gurbani says, Manato mangal hoy raho, that the mind has become like an elephant, so bloated. But the doorway to our home, to that mahal that we want to experience, is so subtle, so fine, so bleak. 1/10 of a sesame seed. How will a mind that is bloated in vichar, in thoughts, consumed by this world, by the sights and sounds here, the tastes, how will that mind do Koj of its own? So the first step, Gurmukh Pyare, is to bring our attention inside, to that home inside. Because we have seen everything in this desh now. Many of us, are in 30s, 40s, 50s, and older. What have we not seen? What have we not heard and listened to? Nindya, Jugli, the same over and over. What tastes have we not tasted? We have experienced this realm at length, Gurmukh Pyare, but still the eyes are not content, still the mind is not content. Akhi ve kanarajiya bahorang tamashi. So now it's time to turn that dhyan and explore the inside. In order to do that, we're going to close the eyes. We're going to get into a comfortable position so we're not thinking about our body. And we're going to take all attention that's used to being outside of this body inside, to do Koj as a seeker. This is an invitation from our beloved Father, Divine Father, to see what treasures are within this sarir. So as we close the eyes, as we get ourselves ready to settle the mind inside, the next step that we have to do, Gurmukh Pyare, is to go beyond our thoughts. So we've already tried to deal with the external Maya, Drishtman, visible Maya. But now the hardest Maya of them all is Sukha Maya, is Rajogun, Tamogun, Satogun Kahiya, E Teri Sab Maya. That the eyes are closed, there's no signal coming from the outside now, but there is so much happening inside of us because the mind is used to being in vichar. So this second aspect of Maya, again, that is keeping us separate from this home, that high place inside of us, Ucho Than Suhavana, Uppar Mahal Murad, that place inside that is above those three states of thought, we have to go beyond the thoughts. To do that, Guruji's given us a mantra, something to attach the mind to, so that we can go from hundreds and thousands of thoughts to that one single thought of Vai Guru. And we bring our whole attention to rest within that sound. We make our mind the servant of Shabad Guru, that we've heard many times, Shabad Guru, Surt Tun Chela. We make that Surti the servant of the sound of Shabad Guru. So as we chant together as a Sangat, each one of us, we are all connected to one another as well. So it's each of our individual responsibility as we're sitting here to bring our mind, our dhyan, into that single pointed focus. Not only are we allowing ourselves to go into that state, we are taking others along with us. So as we start to chant Guru, we're going to place our full attention in the sound of our voice. We want to make sure the mind is present for Vahid and for Guru. And we're going to continue to chant again and again, slowly, breath by breath, releasing mind from the grip of those binds inside of us. And slowly, slowly what will start to happen is we will become so immersed in the sound, we will become so lean in the sound, that we will forget this world of Maya, this realm. And we will forget the thoughts and the problems and the worries and the issues and the happenings of this realm. So that is how deeply we want to go into this sound. So let us begin. Vai Guru, 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 Vai, 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 Vai, Guru, 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 Guru, Vai, 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 Vai, Guru, 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 Vai, थोड़े चिर ਲਈ ਸਹਿਜ ਵਿੱਚ ਬੈਠਣਾ, ਅੰਤਰਗਤ ਜਪਣਾ। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ। For some of us, we may have experienced a state within which we were so immersed in the sound of our voice, in the sound of the mantra, that we were not pushed and pulled around into thoughts. And this state, Gurmukh Pyare, of no vichar, of no thought, of single pointed focus, is our true state. Underneath all of that man, those vichar, those thoughts, belief, conditioning, identity, personality, life experiences, traumatic events. Underneath all of that baggage, this set of ideas, beliefs that we believe to be our personality, underneath all of that, there is something that is still, that is subtle, that is bleak, that is nirmal. And that is our mind. And most of us have never even seen our mind. That we have only been able to operate at the level of thought. We've never even seen what was beneath thought. Is tan meh man ko gurmukh vikhe. but only very few have seen the mind within the body. And every time we come into that state of ekagrata, we can see our mind underneath that mail. And Gurmukh Pyare, some of us found this practice very difficult, may have questions in our mind. Why am I doing this, repeating again and again? What is this achieving? Yes, there may be temporary peace, but what happens outside of this? And all of the answers are within Guru Granth Sahib Ji. What does it matter anyway that the mind is this nirmal, this pure? And if our mind is this pure and this nirmal, how nirmal must our beloved be, Paramatma? Because we are one and the same. We are the embodiment of Paramatma. Our roop is the same. Now, let's take this into our practical life for a moment. What would it be like to live with this mind in this world? We encounter so many different situations, challenges, things that come up within this material realm. And what are we usually guided by? What are we usually filled with within this mind? We're filled with fear. If I don't do this, this will happen. What will happen if my children don't listen to me or they do something that I didn't want them to do? Or we're guided by anger, growth. How could that person do this to me? Why did life turn out this way? How could Paramatma put me in this situation? Or we're guided by hatred. Look at that person. What kind of person are they? Look at the way they treated me. How they treat my family. Judgment, comparison, jealousy. These are the things that guide us. These are the things that we take into our relationships that create kalesh. How many of us are actually guided by our mind? That mind that we were able to access today, that nirmal, pure mind that holds no hatred, that is not pulled by fear, that is not entertaining, meditating on jealousy, comparison. That mind that is pure. What kind of life is that? Situations happen, challenges arise, somebody says something unkind. That pure mind stays within its mind. It doesn't get pulled outward by those bunch. And what is the outcome of that, Gurmukh Pyare? What is the outcome of this sahaj? Well, Guruji tells us that the life currently, when we are led by those sponge inside of us, is just kalesh from beginning till end. Keh Kabir panch ko jagda, jagdat janam gavaya. Now, what would it be like to live with this still mind? Gurbani says that the one who has that still mind is called Gurmukh. And how do they live? We've seen the analogies within Gurbani of lotus flower. The lotus flower that is above the surface of the water, but it's underneath it, there's all this mal and gandagi, but it doesn't get caught up in that, it is floating above. The mind as Gurmukh floats above life. It doesn't get pushed and pulled into these emotions and thought processes and beliefs and ideas. It floats through life. And Gurbani says that when the mind becomes that nirmal, that pure, then who comes as the support? Whose intelligence, whose love, whose support can we call upon, or do we have access to in that moment? When we read the words, Satguru Ayo Sharan Tuhari, what do we read? We read, when the mind comes into the sanctuary of the divine, then fear is eradicated. Then hatred, chinta is eradicated. We hear Thir kar baiso har jan pyare, Satgur tumre kaj savare. We hear about those bhagats that have been in those impossible situations and Paramatma has come to their support. We read these as if they're just stories, sakhis. We find it very hard to believe that these things could be true because we've never lived with a still mind. We've never seen what happens when we take the mind into Nijgar, Tirgar. We haven't had the opportunity to develop that trust in Paramatma, in the divine. So Gurmukh Pyare, this is the invitation. Guruji is telling us that if you just bring your mind into my sanctuary, Thirkar Basu. Thirkar is that home inside. Oh my beloved child, bring your mind into my sanctuary and all of your affairs will be resolved. And it's only if we go into this place again and again that we start to see these things happening. When we're not guided by fear, hate or anxiety, when we're guided by something truer, something deeper, the divine intelligence of Paramatma, what is not possible, that divine that creates and sustains this universe. We see miracles, we see our bodies getting hurt and then healing. How is everything organized in this perfect way? The intricacy of this design of this material realm. So Gurmukh Pyare, the invitation is for us to experience that divine intelligence in our life. If Paramatma, the divine, supreme consciousness, whatever we want to use the words, if they are able to create such a perfectly designed system, what is not possible when we have access to that divine intelligence? In the problems that we face, the obstacles that we perceive to be in our way, surely the creator and sustainer of this entire universe would be able to move us through those situations. But it's not enough to ask while the mind is asking for 100 other things. We come and we pray, we come and we bow our head and we say, Paramatma, I'm in your sanctuary. But the truth is, inside our heart and our mind, we are thinking and being guided by so many other things. Doubts, can Paramatma really help me? Anger, I want to get back at that person. Fear, I don't think anybody can help. So the signal is not clear. Maybe a very small part of us, maybe with our tongue, we are repeating these words, please help me Paramatma. But the heart and the mind are speaking loudly. What are they saying? I don't believe you can help. Nobody can get me out of this situation. I don't want to forgive that person. So those voices inside of us are the things that are determining our connection with Paramatma. Jin man hor mukh hor se kande kachiya. That inside of us we're saying one thing. Those panj are repeating one thing. And in our tongues we're saying another thing. That is a false love. That is a false relationship. We know how we feel when we're standing in front of another person and we can sense that they're not being entirely genuine with us. We can sense that they're saying the right things with their words, but we have a feeling that they're feeling something else inside. What kind of relationship is that? What kind of relationship of love is that? That kind of relationship breaks away very quickly. And this is the kind of relationship we have with our beloved, with Paramatma. That we speak sweet words on the outside, we do all the right things, but inside of us, the Panj are speaking on our behalf. So Gurmukh Pyare, this path is of genuine connection and transformation. It's not about doing something on the outside. It's about transforming ourselves on the inside. And how do we do that? How do we transmit that clear signal that will land on the ears of our beloved? that Paramatma will hear us. Gurbani says that only the mind that is pure can connect with Paramatma. Sahib mera nirmala, man nirmal hi paya jaye. How do we make that mind pure? How do we match those words on the outside? We clear away the noise of those sponge. We clear away the noise of those thoughts and we bring our mind into that stillness. And then we can connect. Then we can say that our mind has truly gone into Paramatma's sanctuary. So Gurmukh Pyare, for the remaining time that we have, let us practice taking that mind into that stillness. At the beginning, Gurmukh Pyare, it's hard to trust. We've been with our thoughts for lifetimes upon lifetimes. Those bunge inside have guided us for many lifetimes. It's hard to trust that being in a place of stillness is going to allow us to live a good life. What will I do if I'm not worrying? How will I manage things if I'm not judging others? But Gurmukh Pyare, when we start to spend time in the sanctuary of those Gurmukhs, those saints, those bhagats, that are on this path, that are connecting to that place of stillness, and we look at their lives and we look at the way they move throughout life, that's how we start to develop a trust. Gurbani said, Sad Sangat ke asre, Prabh syo rang lai. That is how we start to develop a true bond of love with beloved. When we are around and inspired by others who share that love. So Gurmukh Pyare, for the last 2 minutes before we are blessed to listen to the next Kirtaniya that are coming on, we're going to bring our mind into that stillness, into that sahaj, and to deepen that trust. So please forgive any mistakes made during this talk, and let us bring our mind into that stillness for these last 2 minutes. Prepare our mind to listen to the beloved Kirtan that we are about to be blessed to be listening to. Karo shuru. Vai Guru, 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 Vai Guru. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.